To me, the biggest challenge right now is primarily thermal interface materials. That's kind of what's holding the market back from moving.
Hi, I'm Lieven. I'm CEO of Diabatix and host of the TheCoolingChannel podcast. In this podcast, I interview experts and leaders in the field of thermal engineering. In today's episode, I will be talking to George Meyer of the company Celsia. George is CEO of the company, and Celsia specializes in two-phase heat transfer and provides those solutions to a wide range of industries. So let's see what he has to say. Hey George, welcome to the show.
Very good.
George, today the goal of today or this podcast is to talk about thermal engineering and also to see and to discuss your part in this very exciting world and your role also that you have with Celsia. So I hope you're up for that.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So maybe to kick off, because I can imagine that quite a few of the people in our that are listening to the show don't know you yet. So maybe it's good if you can just let's start just with an introduction. Who is George Meyer?
Who's George Meyer? Well, currently I'm the CEO and CTO of Celsia Technologies, U.S.-based company, specializes in two-phase heat transfer. So all of the products that we manufacture incorporate two-phase heat transfer of some kind, whether it's sort of heat pipe or vapor chamber-based technologies or phase change technologies for thermal storage. But that's our specialty, is two-phase technology.
Yeah. Yeah, but I can imagine, George, that's that's not your first role that you were in, huh? So
no.
How did you end up in this position? Because it sounds very exciting.
It's a long story. I actually worked for what is now Boyd, was Thermocore at the time for 29 years. So the interesting thing is when I joined Thermocore, it was about the size as you guys are now. It was young, it was exciting, there was growth, there was new technology, and so I stayed there as long as there was new challenges and places to grow and things to learn. And but eventually they got bought out, and then someone else bought them out, and it became a big corporate entity, which I didn't like, so I left. I actually went into just a job in distribution for a while, thermal products, but distribution. And then I was headhunted for the position at Celsia as the chief marketing officer. And eventually ended up taking over the company. And a little more detailed than that, but
yeah. No. Okay.
Yeah.
So and how many people are you now? I could say with Boyd, you grew up into a big multinational, then, but how many people are you now with Celsia?
We're about 60.
Okay, it's a nice team.
Nice size. Yeah, nice size. Still feels like family.
Oh, voilà, perfect. And is it then you do both design and production, or is it do you have a standard series of products that you're now marketing, or how does it typically?
Basically, we have nothing that's standard. Everything we do is specifically designed for the application.
Yeah. Okay.
Everything, both the air side and the two-phase side. So a lot of, you can go on DigiKey and buy heat pipes, but those are sort of the standard heat pipe. Mm-hmm. But any application that we get involved in, we'll custom design the entire solution from the inside out.
Okay, and what type of companies are then your traditional customers for those custom products?
Well, when Celsia first started, they went after sort of the consumer market, and that's because of the big volumes and big dollars. And the problem with that is you can either hit a home run or you can walk back to the dugout. When I took over, I changed the focus to be primarily the what I call the high end of the market. So we do military, we do medical, we do very high end LEDs, high end communications equipment, and computing, but nothing consumer at all. So our volumes are typically between tens and thousands a month.
Okay.
On the stuff we produce. Yeah.
Yeah. But I can imagine that also puts quite a challenge for the team, and along the way, so the moment that you became CEO, and did you feel then changes in your team that were more, I've some people, team members that were more into the old way of working, if I may say it like that, then, or with the old customer bases that said, yeah, let's go for the masses, and now you're switching to the...
No. The interesting thing is that the team that works, most of the team is in Taiwan. We've worked together back when we were at Thermocore and this became Boyd. So we've worked together since 1996.
Okay.
So yeah, as a team, we've been together for, coming up on 30 years. So we were all in full agreement of what should be done.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but that's nice to have the full team support, because I can imagine making those kind of changes for the company, even smaller companies. I see it here at Diabatix as well. I mean, every change that you make, it's you need to take it with a full team, because those sizes, it's like you say, you're a family, and you're either all in on it or not, because there's no halfway to do such a change, isn't it?
Yeah, and one of the first things I did as I took over is I made sure that the management team all had stock in the company.
Yeah. I guess it's important that they all feel the personal importance with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they work hard. They deserve more than just a standard paycheck. They deserve to be part of the success or the failure.
Yeah, well, yeah, indeed. One thing at least what I see with Diabatix is when you come across those let's say niche applications or more unique applications, you do have products passing by that you would think, okay, this I never expected to be doing. Do you have a product like that in mind that you would say, okay, this is actually something when I started here as CEO or as head of marketing then?
No, and the reason for that is my first 15 years in the business, back in the 80s, 70s, and 80s, all I did was contract, I was in the R&D division. So we worked on all kinds of things, solar, laser mirrors, phase change thermal storage. Yes. So my entry into this business was on the R&D side of things. So we actually look forward to working on strange things.
Well, I have a few ideas in that direction, but okay. So now quite a few people are quite a few companies are working on two-phase systems and heat pipes and so what makes what makes Celsia now really unique, or where do you say, okay, this is where we shine the most compared to the rest of the market?
Well, but there's a couple of things that differentiate us from sort of the rest of the market, and that is we're not sort of driven by volumes. We don't run away from things that are tens of years or hundreds of years, and that's because from a business standpoint, those people generally pay their way. They pay for their engineering, they pay for their tooling, and then there's a reasonable margin in that business. So that's kind of why we're in this field.
Yeah. Okay. So now with thermal engineering, you have been in the active in the field, well, basically all your career. For me, that's I can say the same, but my career is a little bit shorter. So, what have you seen? What have you seen changing over the past 20, 30 years, or are there things that nothing? Okay, because that answers my next question, because I was going to ask you, okay, what did you expect to change and did not move at all? So, but it's all in the second category.
Well, it's, for example, the big thing now is sort of immersion cooling, or liquid, pump liquid cooling. Well, that goes back to the 50s and 60s. It's like to me the biggest challenge right now is primarily thermal interface materials. That's kind of what's holding the market back from moving. The interface material is the weak link in the thermal chain.
Yeah. And is there? Yeah, and that's not, of course, not something that Celsia you're tackling or solving at this moment.
Yeah, we can just point. Yeah, you guys.
It's clearly someone else to blame. So. Okay, and then was there something? Okay, the thermal interface materials, is that then also what you expected, where the biggest change will come from the upcoming years, or is that where would if we would have exactly this discussion again in 20, 30 years, I hope at that time that you're just relaxing next to a pool or something like that, but imagine that we have that discussion again. Would that then be the answer that you would give, or is there something else that you actually expect to have more impact?
I would expect 20 years from now we're going to be having the same conversation.
But again, nothing has changed.
Yeah. I mean, there'll be improvements in the TIM materials, and a lot of the really challenging applications are going to metal TIMs, which is an order of magnitude better than the polymer TIMs. Power density is an issue. When you have power density, then your interface becomes a big issue, and all that. Yeah. I expect we'll just continue to have the same issues over and over again. It's sort of like if you go back to the early '80s, when the semiconductor technology changed, you cooling guys are going to be out of business. It's like no.
Yeah, because it's just upscaling at the same rate, basically, and that, Yeah, that's also our experience at Diabatix is that if a customer comes to us and they say make a new design for this product, and we do it, and then they say, okay, we only need one design, so this time, so wait till next product version, and then they come back indeed, because then suddenly instead of 100 watts, it's 200 watts or 300 watts for the same volume. So I guess you see exactly the same thing happening. Yeah. I saw something very interesting. I think your drinking bottle that you had with you, is it the one from Semitherm? Yeah, I thought I spotted it. So because George said that's also where we met the first time. So you have been supporting Semitherm for a very long time. I guess, or
well, I think it was either the first or the second one is when I started going there. Got involved in, I guess it's 14 years ago, was the general chair for the conference. Then got involved in sort of the educational foundation. So now I'm part of the educational foundation, and so the educational foundation is gives scholarships and puts on currently two educational events, the Semitherm event and the thermal workshop that's in November in Seattle.
Yeah. And
so it's all part about giving back the business, the Semitherm, the network has all been good for me in my career, and so it's like pay it forward,
Yeah. Okay, because I was going to ask you, so why that involvement? I mean, I speak from experience. I'm also think about 20 years after you got started with it. Maybe it's even a little bit longer than that. But so it's also because of the giving back, or what?
Well, it's two reasons. I mean, obviously, early on, it's more of a selfish activity. I need to get my word out. I need to make connections and all that kind of stuff, which is perfectly fine. That's why we're here, is to help people at all steps. But over time, it's like, okay, things have been good, and now you sort of have to say, okay, I want to sort of go out by leaving positive influence behind me. So that's why I do it.
Yeah, because and what I've seen myself is, you have Semitherm, but you have quite a few other conferences as well, like iTerm. Here in Europe, you have Terminic.
Yeah, you have Semi.
Indeed. So quite a few. But especially with COVID, the popularity of those conferences either were cancelled or people are not that easily coming back to them, although they are again organized. Do you expect it to just revive again, or do you see other type of events?
I hope it does. But it's not certainly not going to come back to the way it was. I mean, there's live events have certain advantages and disadvantages. The advantages of live events is you get to make these connections. Then you get to get out of the office for a week too. The disadvantage is the bean counters have found out that, hey, it costs money to do that versus a Zoom call. So I don't know where we're going to end up. There's certainly a place for personal interaction in this world. A lot of it's going to be replaced by, those online meetings like we're having right now. Which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that because we can set it up and do it sort of at the drop of a hat. You want to have a call? Sure. Yeah. Now we're face to face having a conversation. So not sure yet where this is all going to end up.
Yeah. And now with Celsia, with 60 people, are you then promoting that internally as well to have people attend those conferences? Is that something that you're actively trying to promote and stimulate and say, hey, we did some research, go and present it? Is it also what you try to push internally?
We've presented over the years, almost every year. We haven't for the last several years. I've pushed some of our engineers to do presentations, primarily for their benefit, to get them out of their shell and get them out of the office and from behind the screen and in front of all those people and, scare the crap out of them. But as an engineer, I think it's our job as for management is like to sort of push them out of their shell a little bit, and it's good for them. Really, it's good for the company, but primarily I do it for the employees.
Yeah, and other have you tried also other channels? Because of course one of the reasons that we're having this discussion is I personally also believe in the power of YouTube, for instance, and to get people into getting familiar with other companies, with other people, their career, and how they tackle things, where they see challenges, and that's also why what was the inspiration of getting this podcast started. Do you see similar opportunities, or are you trying to use similar opportunities, or what other ideas that you maybe have that either were successful or failed, or spreading the word or getting those engineers out of their shells, because it's not easy. Eh?
No, it's not easy. I think engineers in general are introverts.
Typically the good ones.
Yeah. You're going to find that a certain percentage of them will step up to the challenge and a certain percentage of them won't. And you just sort of, those that don't, you challenge in other ways. We have some people that we're challenging sort of on the design side. I mean, they're interested in animation, and it's like, okay, we'll have a challenge for you. So we try to push them wherever area they're comfortable in being pushed to. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's for everyone there's a fit somehow or somewhere, but it's not especially with engineers, also my experience, not always easy to find it who fits where exactly. And we have experimented with YouTube a lot. Some people within the team love it, other people say okay, once is enough. So yeah, that's now what if you circling back to the world of thermal engineering, okay, you have been active in there for 30 years, if I may, 35 years maybe. Trying not to
maybe more.
I'm really trying not to insult you, but
my first entry into the thermal world was 1977.
Okay, yeah, that's many years. I'll stick to that. So, but what is?
I have more hair than my age deserves.
well, for me it's the same, but the opposite. So, but what has surprised you the most over the past? If there's if you can pick one event or one thing that happened either with a company or a product, or was there something that you could say, okay, this really has stuck with me. This really surprised me.
That's a good question. There's nothing that really jumps out at me that was sort of shocking. Um, One of the things that I find interesting, we just touched on it, is we generally in this field we deal with a lot of engineers. This is an engineering heavy field. Um, how little engineers know outside their little circle. And sort of as we just discussed, is part of our job is to push them to go outside that little circle. I think that's kind of one of the things that surprised me. And I think probably a lot of people already realized that, but
it's
no single event that shocked me at all.
Yeah. Oh, and is there maybe something that rather than surprising you, like frustrated you? For instance, that you could say, okay, over the past years, this is really something. If I could have changed one thing, this is what it would be.
No, I don't have any one thing that I would change.
Yeah, that's perfect. Then the better. That's the better. Okay.
Well, however, if you change one thing, you change the trajectory, right?
Yeah, indeed. So, I mean, and can go both ways. You could either say, let's change the resistance of electronics to temperature or magnets to temperature, and make it worse because then we have more job as cooling companies, so to speak. But on the other hand, probably development would go a lot slower of those products, and we will miss out on comfort. Now, one thing that frustrates me, for instance, is that thermal engineering, if you would look at the design cycle of a new product, we're always picked last. It's like playing a soccer game, and it's probably the experience of many engineers that when you're a kid and you have to play a soccer game or something like that, or a team, and they were always picked last. And I have the feeling, at least from our experience, that's the same with thermal engineering. They're always picked last, and there's always the part that is basically tackled at the very end of a design cycle, and then suddenly everything is urgent and pressing, and there's no time to really do a decent job. Do you have a similar observation?
I think that's the norm. The only places that changes is where people have sort of been bit by not paying attention to the thermals ahead of time. And then they'll sort of flip-flop the whole design effort and say, okay, we've got to address the thermal and build up from there. Automotive batteries might be one of those applications where it's like, the thermals are important here, people. People's lives are at stake, the product's at stake, and so I think that's one case where the thermal design has gotten a fair amount of effort put into it.
But don't you think that that's a pity, in the sense of we also had a few customers who involved us almost at the very early of the conceptual design, where we were sitting around the table with 20 other engineers, and you had the people from electrical engineering, you had a few people involved with the mechanical, the mechanical design, but also how it would be manufactured afterwards. You had even someone from the that would actually do the full assembly of the product in the meeting. And so it was a meeting in the end with 20 people where we were discussing a few concepts. And in the end, if you take that approach, the product, for sure, it would never had that efficiency that we reached if we wouldn't have started with that meeting of only a few hours. But I guess that also doesn't happen that often to you guys, same as us, that you're invited to those kind of brainstorm sessions or conceptual studies.
It's not very common. Let's put it that way. I'm sure you'll find the same thing. It's the exception to the rule.
The exception. It only happened a handful of times over the past 5 years. But those were for sure basically the only products where at least the input didn't arrive late at us, and that is, or even after the deadline that the product actually had to be ready. So it seems to me that that's the most effective approach. But maybe companies or people are product developers are not ready for that kind of approach yet.
Now, interesting thing is the example that you're talking about. Was this a brand new sort of platform technology? Was it battery cooling?
It was not battery cooling. No, in this
No.
case.
Oh, okay. All right.
In this case, it was not. It could have been maybe. Yeah, maybe it could have been, but in this case, it was not. But it was well in the high tech application where I think. Like you said, they probably got bitten by the thermal aspect at the very late stage and consider, okay, this costs us really a lot of money to fix it, so we need to do it earlier. Maybe you overshot and so went all in there.
Yeah, it's amazing how much trying to save a few bucks early on, it can really bite you in the later on.
Yeah, absolutely. George, I think we're almost at the very end of our chat. I only have 4 small questions for you left.
Okay, shoot.
Yeah. So, if you could recommend one book to read, what would it be?
Ooh, I think I actually have it here. Let me see. Something about, and I'm trying to remember here. Oh.
Physics
Physics for future presidents.
Okay, nice. And I don't know the book.
I had to pick a book that was engineering related. That was probably, it was right here, so it's top of mind.
Okay, well, I'll put it on my to-do list because it sounds very interesting. If you can give new engineers or young engineers one piece of advice that for engineers that would start in the thermal engineering field, what would it be?
So if you have aspirations to grow your career, to move up the management chain and all that, you've got to take on new challenges, try to be one step ahead of the boss, know what he needs and give it to him before he asks, and get out of your shell, present papers, go to conferences, network. So that's my advice.
All right. Very, very nice. Do you have anyone who you would recommend to have in the show for our next episode?
Have you talked to Al Ortega?
Okay, yeah, I'll
Is he on your list?
Yeah, well, he's on my short list.
He's on your list now.
He's now on my list. Okay, I'll reach out to him. And then to end, do you have a favorite quote that you would share with the rest of the world?
Do I have a favorite quote? Well, a quote that's on my Skype. If it was easy, anybody could do it. I think you're learning that, right?
Yes, absolutely. All right, but I find that a very inspiring and very good quote to end the show with. George, thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you.
It's been a pleasure. It's been fun.
So, and hopefully in one of the next shows we see Al popping up. Huh?
Okay.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Lieven.
Yeah. Bye. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you want to hear more, don't forget to subscribe and see you next time.